In this world, the rules are simple but terrifying. Day and night switch every 30 minutes. When night falls, monsters emerge to hunt. When day breaks, they return to human form. But here's the catch. If the light isn't strong enough, even during the day, the monsters remain. This is the deadly cycle between light and darkness. But Lin Chen, sleeping peacefully in his bedroom, had no idea that outside, everything had already changed. In the dead of night, he jolted awake. The air was thick with the stench of blood mixed with something rotting. Then he heard it. Chewing sounds. Crack, crack. He turned his head toward the noise and saw a dark silhouette hunched over the bed across from him, devouring something. The smell grew worse by the second. Unable to take it anymore, he asked instinctively, "Suman, what are you eating?" The moment those words left his mouth, a terrible feeling washed over him. But before he could even process it, a massive black shadow lunged straight at him. Everything went dark. He blacked out completely. When he opened his eyes again, his head was splitting with pain. Then, floating in front of him, he saw glowing blue text, Spirit Value 30. What the hell was this? He tried to remember what he'd seen before losing consciousness. Wait, had he just died? Suddenly his phone buzzed. A message from Zanny. "Lin Chen, if you're awake, don't make a sound. Suman is already dead. You're next." Panic surged through him. He immediately turned his head towards Suman's bed. The figure slumped over it was way too big. It didn't match Suman's size at all. And that disgusting smell in the air? It was getting worse. Sharp, rancid, unbearable. The chewing sounds continued. Crunch, crunch, like a beast tearing through flesh. Then a horrifying thought hit him. If that thing on the bed isn't Suman, then what is it eating? His phone buzzed again. "There's a monster in the room with us, but it can't see. As long as you stay silent, you'll be safe for now." Suman died because he snored too loud. His eyes widened in shock. Sound? Wait, doesn't vibration make sound too? He quickly switched his phone to silent mode. The room fell quiet, but when he looked up to text Zany back, his blood ran cold. The monster was gone. Then he felt something above him. Slowly, he looked up. His scalp prickled with terror. An unknown creature was hanging upside down from the ceiling, staring directly at him. In the next instant, its neck stretched out like a nightmare, and with one bite, it ripped his head clean off. Darkness swallowed him whole. When he opened his eyes for the third time, the headache was even worse. The blue text had changed. Spirit value 0. His entire body froze. Dying once cost him 30 points. If he died again, it was over. Permanent death. He stared at the massive silhouette on the opposite bed, still feeding ravenously. The constant chewing and swallowing sounds made his skin crawl. He barely managed to suppress the urge to bolt from the bed and run. Hands shaking, he grabbed his phone and switched it to silence. Suddenly, a mechanical voice echoed in his mind. "You have awakened a talent. Initiating binding. Binding successful. Reward 30 spirit points." He focused his thoughts and opened his status screen. Name, Lin Chen. Talent, Jade Dream. Spirit value, 30. His eyes locked onto the talent. Jade Dream, the dream of Jade. Did that mean the times he died were just dreams? So right now he was still dreaming? His expression shifted rapidly as he focused on another option. Spirit points exchange. The system displayed text. Exchange option 1. 3 attribute points to increase stats like strength or spirit. Exchange option 2. 3 skill points to improve abilities. With his pathetic stats, he immediately chose attribute points. But just as he was deciding where to allocate them, he felt a flicker of movement above him. He looked up. That terrifying face was back. Even though he'd been holding his breath, fear gripped him like never before. As that face drew closer, clinging to the last shred of clarity he had left, he screamed internally, "Put everything into spirit. You have used 3 attribute points. Spirit increased by 3. Current spirit value, 9. The moment the message appeared, his mind cleared. His thoughts sharpened instantly. Then, like a spark of genius, an idea hit him. Sound attracts the monster. So if he threw something to make noise elsewhere, he could distract it. He grabbed the headphone case beside his pillow and hurled it across the room. The instant it hit the floor, the monster on the ceiling lunged at the sound with terrifying speed. Lin Chen barely had time to roll out of bed. Before he could steady himself, he heard the monster crush the headphone case in one savage bite. Then silence. He realized something. Even though he was still still terrified. The fear wasn't as overwhelming as before. Maybe the closer you are to the monster, the more you lose your sanity. But then the monster suddenly turned and lunged at his bed. Cold sweat poured down his back. If he hadn't gotten up just in time, he'd be dead. Feeling the creature right next to him, an immense terror gripped his chest again, confirming his suspicion. But before he could catch his breath, the monster shifted its target. It crawled toward the foot of the bed. His heart clenched. The bed next to his was Zany's. No, Zany can't die. His mind raced. Then he spotted a glass of water on the table. An idea sparked. He quickly messaged Zany. Throw the glass to distract the monster, then get out of bed. But just then, he received a message from Zany. Make some noise to attract the monster, then turn on the light. It's daytime right now. Once the light's on, the monster will disappear. He stared at the message, confused. Daytime, but it's clearly night. Still, despite his doubts, he grabbed the glass and threw it. Without waiting to see the monster's reaction, he bolted straight to the door, raised his hand, and flipped the light switch. The instant the light came on, the monster vanished. But the scene that greeted him chilled him to the core. Suman's bed was drenched in blood. Blurred images flashed before his eyes. Then Zany's voice, slightly annoyed, broke through the silence. What's all the noise? You're keeping people awake. Why'd you turn on the light? And what's that awful smell? But the second Zany saw the bloody scene, she shot upright in bed, eyes wide with horror. What? What is that? Don't tell me that pile of stuff is Suman? Lin Chen stared at her, voice trembling. Zany, were you asleep this whole time? She looked confused. Obviously, I was sleeping. What else would I be doing? Those words hit him like a lightning bolt. If Zany had been asleep the entire time, then who the hell had been messaging? He quickly swiped through his contacts. Sure enough, on his home screen, he found another Zany. He opened. The entire conversation history was there, clear as day. He understood instantly. Someone had been pretending to be Zany. Another message came through. Now that you've turned on the light, be careful. Don't let anyone know it was me messaging you. He swallowed hard. Slowly, he typed 3 words into the chat. Who are you? Meanwhile, Uten Ben, who'd been sleeping in the bed next to his roommates, sat up as well. His face was pale with fear. Lin Chen, Zany, you're awake. What happened? Lin Chen didn't answer. He just stared at the reply on his phone. I'm Zany from the future. I know your head is spinning right now, and maybe you still doubt me, but trust me, I won't hurt you. The monster has only disappeared temporarily. Don't let your guard down. It's 2:35 a.m. right now. When 3 a.m. hits, the monster will appear again. Before then, you must kill Uten Ben, because he is the monster. The dorm is sealed. Until someone lives and someone dies, no one can leave. His heart sank. That's bad. He rushed to the door and tried to open it. It didn't budge. Zany joined him, yanking on the handle. Her expression changed immediately. Why won't it open? Uten Ben and Zany rushed to the window, banging on it frantically. Nothing. No response. Uten Ben's voice cracked with panic. Should we call the police? Zany's face was grim. No signal, no network. Even emergency calls don't work. Lin Chen stood to the side, watching their expressions closely. Both showed confusion and fear. Normal reactions for anyone in this situation. His mind was in turmoil. Logically, he should trust the Zany on his phone. If it weren't for those warning messages, he'd already be dead. But that person was telling him to kill Uten Ben. Could it really be Zany from the future? 1,000 thoughts raced through his head. He pinched his thigh hard, forcing himself to calm down. It didn't matter if the messages were true or false. He had to find the real monster and make it reveal a clear weakness. Only then could he convince the others. Acting rashly would only make them turn on him. They might even think he killed Suman. He decided to test the waters first. Everyone, calm down. There's something I need to tell you. There's a monster in this room. Suman was killed by it. When I turned on the light, the monster disappeared, but it's very likely still here, hiding. Both of them froze. Uten Ben began trembling. That's impossible. Monsters don't exist. Lin Chen, maybe seeing all that blood made you hallucinate. Your brain's trying to protect itself. Zany nodded, adding, instead of believing in monsters, I'd rather think this is some sick prank caught on video. Someone must have secretly swapped the locks on our doors and windows. But before Zany could finish her sentence, she went straight to Suman's bed to check for herself. A moment later, she let out a shocked cry. This is real. Suman is actually dead. Seeing them both panicking, Lin Chen seized control of the situation. Listen, stop jumping to conclusions. I saw a monster. It wasn't a hallucination. Whether you believe me or not doesn't matter right now. The real question is, where is the monster? I think it's hiding among us. One of us has already been taken over. The other two looked shaken. Zany's voice cracked with alarm. What do you mean? Monsters can possess people? Lin Chen paused, thinking carefully. It's just a theory. Even if the monster can take over a human body, it probably wouldn't have all their memories. We should each say something only we would know. Maybe that'll expose it. I'll start. During freshman military training, I performed a book-tearing routine and a basketball dance. Zany thought for a moment. I did one-finger pull-ups for everyone and wrestled with the instructor. Uten Ben swallowed hard. The day before yesterday, I broke up with my girlfriend. You both went drinking with me to cheer me up. After they all spoke, both Uten Ben and Zany visibly relaxed. But Lin Chen wasn't convinced. He turned to Uten Ben. Uten Ben, did you feel anything strange right before you woke up? Uten Ben shook his head. No, nothing. Lin Chen frowned and stepped closer. The smell of blood in this room is overwhelming. Suman has been torn apart into a pile of flesh, and you were sleeping in the bed right next to him. You really didn't feel anything? Zany didn't throw up because his father's a forensic scientist. He's seen crime scenes before. But you're usually the most easily scared person here. You're not even nauseous seeing this? Uten Ben backed away until he was cornered, then slumped to the floor. What are you trying to say? Maybe I was just sleeping deeply. You can't accuse me of being a monster just because of that. His eyes reddened with the kind of righteous anger someone falsely accused would show. Seeing this, Lin Chen's frown deepened. That expression didn't look fake. Was Uten Ben really asleep the whole time? Was he wrong? Or was this monster just that good at acting? He glanced at the light switch by the door. There was one way to find out. According to the warning from future Zany, monsters had to follow the rules of day and night to kill. When he turned on the light, the monster vanished. So if he turned off the light, it would likely reappear, and then they'd know who it was. He checked his phone. 2:46 a.m. Time was running out. He made his decision and headed straight for the switch. But suddenly, a figure blocked his path. It was Uten Ben. His voice trembled as he spoke. Zany, don't you think Lin Chen is the suspicious one? He keeps looking at his phone, but neither of us has any signal. Who is Lin Chen even messaging? I think he's the monster, and he's accusing others to throw us off. Lin Chen's heart skipped a beat. Something was definitely wrong with Uten Ben. His cowardly nature wouldn't let him suddenly confront someone like this. Not in a situation this intense. Unless he was the monster and was trying to stop Lin Chen from turning off the light. Understanding everything now, Lin Chen shot back coldly. Uten Ben, why are you so nervous all of a sudden? That just makes me more certain you're the hidden monster, and I have a way to make you show your true form. Uten Ben didn't back down. You've been doing all the talking. Who knows what's true and what's not? You're the most suspicious one here, unless you let us see your phone. Under Uten Ben's deliberate manipulation, Zany's attention finally shifted to Lin Chen's phone. Lin Chen, why don't you just show us? Lin Chen kept his expression calm. I can show you the phone, but while you're looking through it, this fake will just come up with something else to say. His real goal is to stall for time. I already know how to expose him. If the monster disappeared when we turned on the light, then turning it off now will make it reappear. We just turn the light back on immediately after, and we'll see the monster's true face. But we can't let Uten Ben near the switch. If he transforms into a monster, he might destroy it. If we can't turn the light back on, we're all dead. Hearing this, Zany shuddered and rushed to the switch, keeping his eyes locked on Uten Ben. Just as he was about to flip it off to test the theory, Uten Ben suddenly shouted, Zany, don't turn off the light. I've awakened an ability. I can read minds. Lin Chen is the monster. The second you turn off that light, we're both dead. I know what you're thinking right now. You're thinking that if I can really hear people's thoughts, I should prove it by saying what's in your head right now. Zany hesitated. Uten Ben pressed on. You're wondering if I actually know what you're thinking. How is that possible? He must be guessing randomly. The more he spoke, the wider Zany's eyes grew. Even Lin Chen was shocked. So the monster had tricks like this up its sleeve. Seeing Zany waver, Lin Chen rushed forward to stop him. This is just one of the monster's abilities. Don't fall for it. We have to kill it before 3 a.m. or we're all dead. Caught between them, Zany found himself in an impossible position. That's when Uten Ben suddenly roared. I can prove it! He lunged at Suman's desk, grabbed a kitchen knife, and without hesitation slashed his own wrist. Ever since I started college, I've been bullied. You all saved me. But now Suman's been devoured, and Lin Chen's been possessed by the monster. I don't want you to die too. I'd rather die alone than let us both die when the light goes off. Zany, can you believe me now? Zany stood frozen, tears welling up in his eyes. He seemed to believe Uten Ben. Lin Chen realized the situation had spiraled out of control. He took a deep breath. This martyr act had hit Zany's weak spot perfectly. Now he was starting to distrust Lin Chen. If he kept insisting Uten Ben was the monster, Zany would turn on him for sure. What the hell could he do? He checked his phone. 2:56 a.m. There was no time left. And then, at this critical moment, a message from future Zany finally arrived. Lin Chen, haven't you killed Uten Ben yet? Time's running out. I'll give you some crucial information. Monsters that just possessed a human body can't digest large amounts of memory quickly. They usually absorb some basic knowledge, but the rest of the memories need to be recalled with effort. Reading this, Lin Chen immediately looked up. Ben, you said you broke up with your girlfriend the day before yesterday, but do you remember the day you first met her? Ben showed a pained expression. What kind of trick are you trying to pull now? You've already been exposed. Lin Chen cut him off. Answer me right now. Who paid for lunch when we all met freshman year? What score did you get on the CET4 English exam? How much does a glass of your favorite drink cost? He kept firing questions, but Ben just closed his eyes with that same martyr-like expression. I'm a little tired. Let me think. That's when Zanny loudly interrupted their exchange. He'd already pressed the switch. The instant the light went out, the monster's neck stretched grotesquely, lunging straight at Lin Chen. But just before it reached him, the light flickered back on. The monster reappeared where Ben had been standing, back in human form. Cold sweat poured down Lin Chen's back. Thank God Zanny turned the light back on so quickly. Otherwise, he'd be dead for sure. Somewhere between shocked and furious, Zanny roared, "Damn it! It really is a monster! It tricked me!" He lunged forward and kicked Ben to the ground, then started beating him mercilessly with an iron lamp. Seeing that Zanny's strikes weren't hitting vital spots, Lin Chen rushed forward, grabbed the kitchen knife from the floor, and without hesitation plunged it into Ben's throat. Then he stabbed him several more times in the heart before finally stopping. But even then, Ben didn't revert to his monster form. Lin Chen quickly checked his phone. It was already 2:59 a.m. The chat screen was flooded with messages from future Zanny. Have you killed Ben? I don't have much time left. Listen carefully. As soon as you leave the room, don't trust anyone else. Get to the roof of the building as fast as you can and jump straight down. That's the only way you'll have a chance to escape. Also, there's a girl named Chu Ting somewhere in this building. If you run into her before you leave, tell her the time point is in room 114. From now on, give it everything you've got to survive. Lin Chen glanced at his phone with no time to read carefully. More urgent messages kept popping up. Kill Ben, but why hasn't he reverted to his monster form yet? Another message from future Zanny appeared. Damn it, I failed to send this earlier. Monsters have incredible vitality. Only decapitation ensures true death. Something so crucial, and I couldn't send it in time? Must have been rule interference? Reading this, Lin Chen cursed internally and picked up the knife again. But just then, Ben, already beaten beyond recognition, smirked. The next second, night fell. Everything in his vision vanished into darkness. Zanny's gasp of shock had barely begun when it was abruptly cut short. Then that familiar, grotesque chewing sound echoed through the room. Survival instinct kicked in. Lin Chen rushed to the light switch, pressing it desperately over and over, but the light wouldn't turn on. In the darkness, he felt a massive mouth begin devouring his chest and abdomen. Overwhelming pain consumed him, and he lost consciousness completely. Back in the bedroom, in the dead of night, Lin Chen's eyes shot open. He bolted upright in bed. Incredibly, he wasn't dead yet. In the pitch-black darkness, he couldn't even see his own hands. Only the occasional sound of chewing reached his ears. His skin prickled with terror. Holding his breath, he pulled his phone from under the pillow. 2:30 a.m. His pupils shrank. Was everything he'd just experienced a dream? He quickly switched his phone to silent. Just then, that familiar mechanical voice echoed in his mind. Detected, you have awakened your talent. Initiating binding. Binding complete, just like before. He quickly opened the system panel. It was exactly the same. So that was it. This was the prophetic dream. The 3 times he'd been killed by the monster, all of it happened inside the dream. When he died the 3rd time and his spirit value hit 0, the dream ended. Suddenly, he noticed his spirit attribute was 9. So attribute boosts gained in the dream carried over to reality. He checked his phone. Future Zanny's messages still hadn't arrived. Was communication only possible within the dream? He took a deep breath. Now wasn't the time to overthink. The priority was killing the monster. He couldn't afford to die again this time. He fumbled for his Bluetooth headset by the pillow and tossed it out. With a sharp thud, the massive creature lunged in that direction without hesitation. Lin Chen took the opportunity to get up, grabbed the glass of water from the table, and threw it down. The moment he heard the crash, he rushed to the light switch by the bedroom door and flipped it on. Zanny's irritated voice immediately rang out. "Why are you turning on the light? What's that awful smell?" Ben also jumped out of bed. Lin Chen, Zanny, you're already awake? What happened? Lin Chen didn't bother explaining. He ran straight to the door, pretending to try and open it. The result was obvious. Due to the rules, the door wouldn't budge. Seeing this, both Zanny and Ben jumped out of bed and rushed toward him. Of course, Lin Chen knew the door wouldn't open. He only did it to lure Ben close. He reopened his personal panel. System, increase my points. All into strength. You have used 3 attribute points. Your strength has increased by 3. Current strength, 8. A sharp, blinding pain exploded through Lin Chen's entire body all at once. Every muscle in him swelled instantly, his body flooding with raw, overwhelming power. In that single moment, he genuinely believed he could shatter stone with his bare hands. Yutanen noticed immediately something was clearly wrong. He rushed over, voice tight with concern, but he never got to finish his sentence because Lin Chen's foot slammed into him with brutal force, sending Yutanen crashing hard into the wall. Zan Yang saw the whole thing and reacted fast, lunging forward and grabbing Lin Chen's arm. "What are you doing?" But Lin Chen didn't answer. He grabbed Zan Yang's wrist, dragged him back toward the light switch, and held his ground. His eyes were locked on Yutanen because Lin Chen knew something Zan Yang didn't. Yutanen wasn't human, and Suming had already been devoured by him. Zan Yang was stunned. In all the time he'd known Lin Chen, the guy had always been the weakest one in the room, but the strength gripping his wrist right now was stronger than his own. He didn't understand it. He couldn't explain it. All he could do was hold up his phone, flashlight aimed directly at Yutanen, while Lin Chen's other hand stayed on the switch. Then came the snap. The lights went out, and in that instant of darkness, Yutanen's body twisted, contorted, swelled. What had been a lean, ordinary-looking student morphed in seconds into something monstrous, nearly 2 meters tall, wrong in every way a human body shouldn't be. Zan Yang barely had time to process what he was seeing before the creature launched itself toward them at terrifying speed. Then, another snap. The lights came back on, and just like that, Yutanen was back, human again, crumpled on the floor like nothing had happened, like it had all been some kind of hallucination. Zan Yang stood there, eyes wide, his brain completely refusing to accept what he'd just witnessed. But Lin Chen had already moved. He snatched the fruit knife from Suman's table and closed the distance without hesitation. No warnings, no second thoughts. Powered by 8 full points in his strength attribute, he grabbed Yutanen's head. One clean slash. It was over. Lin Chen stood there staring at the headless corpse on the floor, a strange numbness settling over him. It had been so easy, almost unsettlingly so. Then the system spoke. "You have eliminated an avatar of the anxiety demon." An avatar. Lin Chen's blood ran cold. If this was just a copy, just a fragment of something larger, then how terrifying was the real thing? And suddenly, the warning from the dream came rushing back to him. "From the moment you step outside that dormitory door, trust no one." He shook it off and scrolled through the rest of the system notifications. His spiritual value had gone up by 10. And then, something new. A reward. First, anomalous creature eliminated. You have earned the right to 1 supernatural ability. Choose wisely. 3 options appeared. Star poison. Touch a target with your palm and read their thoughts directly. Frenzy. Activate a berserk state that boosts strength and agility by 50% and cuts pain perception in half. Clone. Separate tissue from your own body to create a duplicate. The clone carries 50% of your stats. He had 10 seconds. Lin Chen thought fast. Frenzy was powerful, but even a 50% boost wasn't going to be enough against what was coming. Clone had potential, but a copy running at half his stats would get wiped out instantly against the monsters he'd already seen. But Star Poison? The ability to read minds? In a world where the enemy hid behind human faces, that kind of power could mean the difference between life and death at the worst possible moment. I choose Star Poison. Supernatural ability acquired. Star Poison. He exhaled slowly. From the moment he got out of bed to right now, only 3 minutes had passed. 3 minutes that felt like a lifetime. Behind him, Zan Yang was still spiraling. Lin Chen walked over, placed a hand on his shoulder, and cut straight to it. "I know you have questions, a lot of them, but we don't have time, so I'm only asking you this once. Can you trust me? Completely, no matter what." Zan Yang didn't even hesitate. "Of course I trust you. We're brothers. I'd give you everything I have." He paused. "Everything." Lin Chen ignored the rest of that sentence, grabbed the fruit knife, and pushed the door open. The smell hit him first. Thick, iron-heavy, suffocating. The kind of smell that told you something had gone terribly wrong before your eyes even adjusted. And when they did, the hallway looked like a war zone. The walls were dark and slicked with blood. A crowd of students was packed together at the far end, their voices overlapping in chaos. "Kill him! Hurry! Kill him!" Lin Chen instinctively stepped back, but the sole of his shoe hit the floor with a sticky, wet crunch. That small sound cut through the noise like a blade. Someone shouted, "Door to 412 just opened." Every head turned. Dozens of eyes locked onto them at once. "There's 2 of them this time. Doesn't matter. They could be monsters. Grab them first. Ask ask questions later. The crowd started moving toward them. Lin Chen's heart was pounding. His original plan had been simple. Get out, head straight for the roof. But the scene in front of him changed everything. These people weren't running. That meant they couldn't. They were all trapped. Without wasting another second, Lin Chen converted his last 10 essence points into a single attribute point and pumped it straight into strength. Then he raised the knife. And then the system hit him with something new. Convergence point of shadows detected. Forced mission activated. The night demon lurking in the darkness has already set its sights on you. Every decision from here forward is a test between life and death. Mission: prevent the night demon's ascension. Reward: choose one of 3 divine connection sequences. Failure: forced annihilation. Time limit: 4 a.m. Lin Chen barely had time to process it before a cold, commanding voice cut through the crowd. Everyone, quiet. The noise dropped. Parting like a curtain, the crowd revealed a student walking forward with a baseball bat resting against his shoulder. Lin Chen recognized him instantly. The student council president. The kind of guy who always had people around him and never let anyone forget it. He stopped a few steps from Lin Chen and looked him up and down. How did you kill the monster? And how did you get out? His voice was hard, measured. Tell me everything that happened in that room. Lin Chen raised an eyebrow. He didn't answer. Instead, he asked his own question. What happened out here? Why are there bodies everywhere? The president's jaw tightened, but he glanced at Zan Yang and, just barely, held himself back. He started talking. Last night, someone who couldn't sleep had gone to check on other rooms and found bodies. Multiple rooms. Everyone dead. 3 rooms still couldn't be opened at all. No internet, no signal, no way to call for help. Everyone was trapped. Then, around 2 a.m., all the lights cut out at once. The hallway filled with screaming. Room 03 opened, and a student named Matao walked out, the only survivor. He told them the monster traveled through the electrical circuit, jumping between fluorescent tubes. Every time it built up enough energy, it crossed into the real world. Turning off the lights, he said, was the signal for when the monster appeared. He told them if they wanted to survive, they had to destroy the power source or the lights themselves. They believed him. Someone flipped the switch, and in those few seconds of darkness, 3 more people died. Lin Chen listened, and piece by piece, everything clicked into place. He'd always wondered, why hadn't the monster just gone to the electrical panel and cut the power itself? Why hadn't Yutanen turned off the lights on his own terms back in the dream when he clearly had the chance? Because it couldn't. The rules wouldn't allow it. The monster couldn't touch the lights or the power directly. It could only manipulate, deceive, push humans into doing it themselves. Matao had been playing them the whole time. The president's eyes sharpened. Now that you two have come out, talk. Tell us what happened in that room. Because if you won't cooperate, we're going to assume you're monsters too. That landed hard. The crowd that had backed off came pressing forward again, the tension ratcheting up instantly. Lin Chen stepped forward, voice steady and clear. Everyone calm down. We all want the same thing here, to get out alive. I have a plan. But first, I need to confirm 2 things. First, where is Matao? The president nodded in a direction without hesitation. The crowd parted, and everyone went still. There was nothing there. Just a dark stain of blood on the floor. An empty space where Matao had been standing moments ago. The president's face went pale. He started asking around frantically. Where did he go? He was just here? Didn't someone? The crowd erupted into confused panic. Lin Chen let the noise settle for just a second before he spoke again. What if Matao never actually died? Did anyone actually see him transform into a monster? The president stared at him. What are you saying? Lin Chen didn't explain. He just looked calmly, carefully, between the president and his right-hand man, Lichuan, who was standing right beside him. Then he spoke 2 words that meant absolutely nothing. Imperial Jade Leaf Wine. How much is a cup? Lichuan blinked. What are you talking about? That was all Lin Chen needed to hear. Lichuan leaned toward the president. He's messing with us. Stalling. These 2 don't want to work with us. Bet they're just like Matao. We should... Lin Chen was already moving. He crossed the distance in a heartbeat, grabbed Lichuan's head with both hands, and twisted with everything he had. 9 points of strength. The cervical spine snapped like a dry branch. The silence that followed was absolute. Then the screaming started. The crowd raised their weapons. But before anyone could move, Lin Chen pointed down at Lichuan's body on the floor. You really want to attack? Then open your eyes first. Everyone looked, and what they saw stopped them cold. Lichuan's corpse had already begun to twist and bloat, warping into something grotesque and inhuman. The monster had been hiding among them the entire time, right there, walking beside them, talking with them. Suenju started shaking. His voice came out barely above a whisper. He was with us the whole time. How? The crowd exploded exploded into panic and accusations, but Lin Chen's voice cut through all of it. Monsters hide among people. That's the rule of this game. When night falls, they hunt. When day comes, humans get the chance to find them and strike back. The words landed hard. The group that had been packed tightly together moments ago began spreading apart, eyes darting sideways at the people standing next to them. The trust that had barely held them together was already fracturing. Lin Chen let out a cold laugh. I've already killed 2 monsters. Right now, my human form is the most confirmed here, so anyone who comes at me, probably a monster themselves. He paused, letting his gaze drag slowly across the crowd. And anyone trying to stir up panic and turn people against each other, they deserve the same fate. Every single person his eyes landed on looked away immediately. Then his gaze stopped, settled on a heavy-set student near the back. Han Zhan, you share a dorm with Li Chuan. He bullied you constantly. Everyone knows that. So why were you the loudest voice defending him just now? Lin Chen tilted his head. Tell me, Imperial Jade Leaf wine, how much is a glass? The crowd went dead silent. Then, one by one, they remembered. That was the same question he'd asked right before he killed Li Chuan. They understood, and they moved away from Han Zhan instantly, creating a wide, empty space around him. Han Zhan's face drained of color. You don't actually think I'm a monster, do you? 180 for a cup? Lin Chen said flatly. Still want to answer? Han Zhan answered, quickly, correctly. Lin Chen kept staring, then glanced at Zan Yang. Where's the best excavation technology? Sandon. Buskin. Han Zhan answered again. Fast, accurate, 2 seconds of silence. Then Lin Chen smiled. Come with me. He turned and walked down the corridor with calm, deliberate steps. Han Zhan hesitated, then followed anyway. After about 10 meters, Lin Chen stopped. He pointed at the electrical switch set into the wall. Han Zhan, flip it down. Instantly, the crowd behind them erupted in protest, but Lin Chen didn't even blink. He just stared at Han Zhan and lifted his chin. Flip it. Cold sweat broke out across Han Zhan's face. You can't flip that switch. Monsters will appear. People will die. If you suspect me, just keep asking questions. I'll answer everything. I swear I'm not. You can flip it down and back up fast enough, Lin Chen said calmly. As long as you're quick, the monster won't have time to act. Han Zhan's eyes went red. His voice cracked. That's just your theory. You just want to kill someone. Everyone was pointing at you a second ago, and now you're taking it out on... He stopped. Then his expression shifted into something almost desperate, almost noble. He grabbed Lin Chen's wrist, the one holding the knife. Then just finish me. If I die, at least leave the others alone. Before Han Zhan's hand could close around his wrist, Lin Chen's foot connected with his chest and sent him flying backward into the wall with a crash. The warmth completely left Lin Chen's face. You'd rather take a knife than flip a switch. He walked forward slowly. It's not that you don't want to, it's that you can't, isn't it? Han Zhan collapsed to his knees, crawling forward, voice breaking. I don't know what you're saying. I'm not a monster, please. Lin Chen drove the knife down. Han Zhan's body hit the floor and immediately began to warp and swell into the same hideous form as the others. 3 monsters, 3 kills, precise every single time. The crowd stared, and for the first time, something shifted in their expressions. It wasn't just fear anymore. It was something fragile and desperate. Hope. Maybe this person could actually get them out. Lin Chen didn't care what they were feeling. He positioned Zan Yang beside him and turned to face the group. 2 rules. First, everyone back up at least 5 meters from me. Stay in my line of sight, no exceptions. Second, flashlights on. Find the person closest to you. You have 10 seconds. They didn't fully understand, but they obeyed, because right now, he was the only one giving orders that actually made sense. Click. Lin Chen flipped the switch. Darkness swallowed the hallway. His eyes swept the corridor in under a second. Everyone still looked human. He flipped it back on. 1 second total, maybe less. The relief that rippled through the crowd was almost audible. Shoulders dropping, breaths releasing. For just a moment, the wall of distrust between them thinned, and then a door creaked. Room 418, not far down the hall. A figure in pajamas slipped out, glanced both ways with an expression that was somehow wrong, and immediately bolted in the opposite direction from the crowd. Someone in the group caught it immediately. That guy running? He's definitely a monster. Lin Chen's eyes went cold. The system's words flashed in his mind. The night demon has already targeted you. The man in pajamas hit the fire door at the end of the hall and was a half step from disappearing into the stairwell. A sharp whistle cut through the air. The fruit knife buried itself into the man's back with a solid thud and knocked him to the floor. But even with a blade in his spine, the figure kept crawling, desperate, clawing, inching toward the door. Zan Yang! Zan Yang was already moving before the words finished leaving Lin Chen's mouth, darting forward like a shot, grabbing the man in pajamas and dragging him back just as he was halfway through the door. Then something reached through from the other side. wide, a massive hand, thick, covered in black, rotting flesh, reaching directly for Zan Yang's head. Lin Chen's pupils snapped wide. "Watch out!" Zan Yang threw himself backward on instinct. The hand grasped at empty air. Lin Chen pulled him to his side and looked through the gap in the half-open fire door. Two monsters stood in the dark of the stairwell corridor, where no light could reach. One was massive, its flesh a sickly greenish black, rotting and oozing, its bloodshot eyes sharp and fully focused. The other wore the remnants of a thin nightgown, breathing in heavy, ragged gasps. Weaker, clearly still hungry, not yet whole. The difference was obvious. The rotting one had fed, possibly many times. Its eyes tracked them with terrifying awareness. Lin Chen's mind raced. The more they devour, the stronger they become. Behind him, the rest of the group had seen the monsters in the doorway and was already scrambling backward in terror. Lin Chen snapped a single quiet command. Flashlights. He and Zan Yang raised their beams into the stairwell. The monsters didn't move, still staring, still cold. It wasn't until several others in the group found the courage to add their own lights, until the combined glow flooded the space, that the two creatures slowly retreated back down the stairs. Suinju's face broke into a grin. "That's it. Everyone shine your lights and go down together. They won't come near us." The crowd cheered. Heads turned toward Lin Chen, waiting for him to lead the charge. Lin Chen stared at them for a long moment. Then he burst out laughing. "Why don't you go first?" Silence. One of Suinju's people stepped up. "You're the strongest one here. Obviously you go in front. The rest of us can't fight. If something happens, we're done." Lin Chen looked around at every face watching him. Then he smiled, but not warmly. "I think you've misunderstood something. I said I had a way out. I never said I was taking all of you with me." The hope that had been building in that hallway shattered instantly. People went pale. Someone's knees buckled. A tall, thin student near the back dropped to the floor entirely. "Please, please don't leave us. We'll do whatever you say. Anything." Lin Chen's expression didn't change. "If you want to walk out of here with me, you follow my orders. Every single one." He scanned the group. "You have 2 minutes. Collect every phone you can find and meet me in dormitory 412. If you'd rather take your chances going downstairs with Suinju right now, that's your choice." He turned and walked back into the room. The moment he was inside, he pulled mineral water bottles from his closet and grabbed a carton of milk from Suman's desk. He uncapped the bottles, poured a small measure of milk into each one, and shook them gently until the liquid turned faintly white and cloudy. Students started trickling in with armfuls of phones. Suinju walked in right behind them, visibly impatient. "What are you doing with water bottles? You're wasting everyone's time." Lin Chen didn't look up. "We need brighter light." He took the phones they'd collected, bound them together along a mop handle, then secured the milk water bottles around the flashlight head. Light entered the liquid, scattered, amplified, and the glow that came off it was dramatically, visibly stronger than any single flashlight. The room went quiet. Everyone stared. Suinju's eyes widened despite himself. "If we make more of these, give one to everyone, we can all go downstairs safely. I'll send people to collect more phones right now." "There's no time." Lin Chen stood up. "Night and day cycle every 30 minutes. We have less than 5 minutes before 3 a.m. Night falls again." Every person in that room went still, and then they flooded back into the hallway. They rushed toward the nearest fire escape like their lives depended on it, because they did. But the moment they reached the fire door, everyone stopped dead, eyes fixed on Lin Chen. And right on cue, Suinju opened his mouth. "Lin Chen, everyone pitched in for those phones, but only you get a long-handled lamp? That's a little unfair, don't you think? How about you and Zan Yang share one, and the rest of us take the other? Just a suggestion for everyone's benefit." Lin Chen saw exactly what he was doing. Moral pressure, plain and simple, but he held out the lamp anyway. "You've got a point, take it." Suinju's face lit up with a satisfied smirk, but it died the instant Lin Chen's next words hit him. "Since you're holding the weapon that keeps you safe, you go first. Scout the path ahead. And if you refuse," Lin Chen's voice stayed completely level, "I'll knock you out and leave you here so you don't slow the rest of us down." All the color left Suinju's face. "Don't knock me out. I'll go. I'm going right now." He stepped through the fire door, lamp shaking in his grip. On the landing between the 4th and 3rd floors, the two monsters were still there, waiting. Suinju gritted his teeth and stepped down. They didn't move. Another step, still nothing. 3rd step. 4th, the monsters retreated, one slow step backward at a time. Suinju nearly collapsed with relief, but Lin Chen was watching something else entirely. The rotting black monster moved first, then the pajama one half a second later. No signal passed between them, no sound, no gesture, just coordinated movement. Can they share information between each other? And then the bigger question, the one that twisted cold in his gut, were they actually afraid of the light? light? Or were they leading everyone into a trap? Lin Chen turned to the 4 nearest students. Follow them down, now. They exchanged miserable glances and obeyed. Lin Chen watched from above as the group descended onto the landing. The monsters were no longer in his line of sight. If this was an ambush, it would happen in the next few seconds and there'd be nothing he could do about it. But nothing happened. 70%. The light actually repels them. He pulled Zan Yang close and whispered something in his ear. Then he turned to the 5 on the landing. Full illumination, maximum light, on me. They nodded and stepped through the fire door. And then, under the wide-eyed stares of Su Enju and the others below, Zan Yang planted his feet, raised a long fluorescent tube like a javelin, and hurled it directly at the 2 monsters. The rotting black creature reacted instantly, leaping sideways out of the beam's path. But the pajama monster was half a second too slow. The light hit it dead on. Something impossible happened. The monster didn't stumble, didn't collapse. It dissolved, became a streak of motion, and came hurtling up the stairs straight toward Lin Chen. Lin Chen spun just as a young man in pajamas materialized in the hallway behind him, seemingly out of nowhere. No hesitation. Lin Chen lunged, grabbed him, and drove the fruit knife into the back of his neck. The body dropped. Everyone get down here. Move. Lin Chen was already sprinting down the stairs before the others processed what had happened. He reached Su Enju's group, snatched the long-handled lamp from their frozen hands, and kept walking. Follow me. Don't fall behind. They reached the first-floor lobby. Corpses everywhere. Lin Chen didn't slow down, didn't look twice. He walked straight to the janitor's room, past the wooden door, past the wrought iron gate with its exterior grill, and stepped inside like he'd been planning this the whole time. He went straight to the iron bunk bed in the corner and started dragging it toward the door. Everyone help get this bed to the entrance. They moved, and then someone shouted, "Su Enju, what are you doing?" Heads snapped around. Su Enju had the janitor's key in his hand. The iron gate swung shut with a clang. The lock clicked. He grinned through the bars. "Idiots, stay here and rot." And then he was gone, sprinting toward the main entrance with the key, leaving the screaming and cursing behind him. Lin Chen didn't flinch. "Forget him. Lock the door. We're running out of time." Meanwhile, at the main entrance, Su Enju jammed the key into the lock and turned it once, twice, desperately, and nothing happened. The door wouldn't open. Sweat broke out across his forehead. He tried again, harder, and crack. The key snapped off inside the lock. Then every light died at once. Night fell. Silence, total and absolute. And then, from the direction of the front entrance, fists began hammering against the janitor's iron gate, and Su Enju's voice broke through the darkness, screaming and sobbing. "Open up, please. Open the door. I was wrong. Lin Chen, save me. Please, one more time." Inside the room, the air went tight. Suichin, the boy with glasses who had knelt in the hallway earlier, spoke up carefully. "It's already night. It's too dangerous to open anything. We can't." Someone else cut in immediately. "Besides, he locked us in here to die. Why should we risk ourselves for him?" The argument was building, and then it stopped cold, because Su Enju had gone quiet. Lin Chen's voice was like ice. "Shut up. He's not making noise anymore." He paused. "The monster is already there, and it hasn't attacked yet because it's waiting for us to open the door." Nobody breathed. Then the screaming started from outside. Raw, tearing agony. And underneath it, wet, rhythmic sounds of something eating. Everyone in that room shuddered to their core. Lin Chen's expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. This thing is smart. It kept him alive on purpose. Kept him screaming so someone would break and open the door. And only when it knew no one was coming, only then did it feed. The chewing sound stopped. "Get ready," Lin Chen said quietly. "It's coming." The iron gate exploded inward. The force rattled through everyone's arms and into their bones. Bodies slammed against the bed frame. Groans of pain rippled down the line. Lin Chen pressed his full weight against the door and raised his voice. Steady, controlled, cutting through the fear. "Hold the line. Monsters want to feed. They don't waste energy on a door that won't open. They'll move on to easier prey. We just have to outlast the night. Hold on, and I'll get every single one of you out of here." Something in those words reached them. Every back straightened. Every pair of hands pushed harder. The battering stopped. Lin Chen watched the system clock in the corner of his vision. Every second stretched like wire pulled to the point of snapping. But the blows didn't come again. The silence outside settled into something almost peaceful. He could hear people around him exhaling, shoulders dropping. Someone started whispering, "Something's wrong." The feeling crept in slowly, then faster. Lin Chen couldn't name it, but it was there, coiling. Name it, but it was there, coiling tighter with every quiet second that passed. "Everyone count off." off, starting from me. Numbers came back through the dark, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 10, then silence. A beat passed. Shouldn't there be 11 of us? The air changed. Everyone felt it before anyone could say it. A nervous voice. It was one of the students near the back. I can't hear Sue-ho. Sue, where are you? Say something. A pause that lasted just a second too long. Then a voice. Hoarse. Wrong. Like it had forgotten how to form words. Here, I'm just tired. And under those words, buried beneath them, a sound that didn't belong in a human throat. Low, guttural, like an animal trying to remember what a person sounded like. Lin Chen's blood ran cold. He'd always wondered how the parasitization actually worked, how the monster got inside. He didn't need to wonder anymore. Everyone be still. His voice dropped to almost nothing. Sue-ho is being taken over. Right now, he drew the fruit knife and lunged toward the heaviest breathing in the dark. The blade connected, and it was like striking old bark, dense, unyielding. The tip cracked. Lin Chen pressed forward, but something washed over him without warning. A terror so deep and complete, it bypassed rational thought entirely. His mind went white. His body screamed at him to run. It's already finished. Sue-ho is gone. He forced himself backward step by step until the crushing fear began to thin. Someone nearby started to speak, and then the monster found them first. A scream ripped through the room. Something heavy crashed in the dark. The smell of blood hit the air like a wall. Chaos erupted. Shouting, stumbling, someone clawing for the door handle. Quiet. Lin Chen's voice cracked like a whip. Don't make a sound. It just turned. It can't see yet. It hunts by sound. If you're silent, it can't find you. The room went still. Bodies pressed against walls, hands over mouths, hearts hammering in absolute silence. Then Lin Chen felt it, a shift in the air, a presence moving toward where he'd been standing seconds ago. He stepped sideways without a sound. The crash that followed was enormous. The spot he'd vacated exploded under something massive and invisible. He stood in the dark, not breathing, hair standing completely on end. It had been tracking him specifically, not randomly hunting the room. Hunting him, the night demon had marked him, and it had almost worked. The monster was inside now, in the dark, in the room, among them, and no one could see a thing.